What's that in the back? Is that
green screen? Green screen.
Oh, you were making me.
I know. I put it up and I said, "Jeez, wouldn't it be lovely to be going for a cup?" I see you even licking your lips there now. You're like, "Jeez, yeah, a couple of pints inside that pub now would be all right." Wouldn't it?
I'm actually my studio is actually in a homemade bar.
I saw that. Yeah, I suppose we've kicked off the podcast, so there we are.
Yeah, brilliant.
Tell us, before we go anywhere, was that just I have to fucking do this to make peace with the fact that I can't go to the pub?
This is something that myself and my father built years ago. It was a boom. It was part of the boom. It was a product of the boom times. If I could bring the camera around, the camera doesn't do it justice. It has taps. It has the flat screen television behind the bar.
Stop.
We have the lights set up for the studio. We have a fire over here in the corner. We have an L-shaped bar. We have a couple of pillars. We have Jim Morrison's picture over there. We get Hedgehogs behind us. So it has been. We never really used it until this lockdown. So
this is. I mean, people talk about prepping and getting canned goods and all the rest of it. Like, and
yeah,
not Stephen. No way, but you went off and you built yourself a bar. You'd never know, lads. You'd never know when the pubs are gone, lads. You'd want fun.
No, never. And I wouldn't mind. But the best night we've had in here. We've had some good podcasts and whatever. But the best night we had in here was the All Ireland in December.
Yeah.
So we had well, I shouldn't be saying this, but we had a full crew in.
It's all right.
Yeah, we even had people coming from Kildare to watch it. It was fucking great crack. Beautiful. Yeah. I don't think anybody would. How ironic would it have been though had Mayo won? Like, it would have been. I know. Yeah. That's how I justified us losing. That sort of made it easier. I thought to myself, you know what? It would be a bad thing if we lost. We weren't able to go out and celebrate. So that's how I justified it in my head that it was better to wait.
You're the most Mayo man that has ever Mayoed, aren't you? Like, I love it. There's absolutely no corners cut. You're 100% fucking West of Ireland. Like, I love that 100%,
shit. Any opportunity I can get, I promote the red and green or the U3 county. I really do. Because I'm absolutely obsessive when it comes to accents and how people speak. Like, if you can't get it right, don't do it at all. Do you know what I mean? If you're doing an accent, and how somebody's from Mayo is they accentuate on the O rather than the A. Like the rest of the country will say Mayo, or you'll go Mayo. There's more in the O. Okay, brilliant. Okay, I'll take note of that. And you're right.
And that's why while I like the green and red and Mayo, the song, it fucking annoys me because the Saw Doctors have written it in such a way with a melody that you have to go heavy on the A and not the O. It's like, that's not right. That's not.
And it's funny that the Saw Doctors made such an iconic Mayo song because and to win just once, we've taken that song to win just once, and they're a Galway outfit. They're all Galway.
If anything, it is a small bit smarmy, I think.
It could be. They have actually about 3 or 4 Mayo songs that we end up singing up when we get up to Croke Park. It's just bananas, and I know that they're staunch Galway people too. So. Are
you a good singer?
No. As soon as I think I am after a few pints, but I know I'm not.
I think whatever level of singing would come out of you with that beard, Stephen, I think anybody would just accept it. Like.
You're right. We done myself and Pete and Chris Gavigan done a charity song for Cavan Macrofern for suicide prevention over Christmas, and we sang, and it actually didn't turn out too bad, but I know for a fact that that's about the best you'll ever get.
What did you sing?
We sang actually the Parting Glass.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, which was a bit of maybe a bad choice for suicide prevention. But anyway.
I shouldn't laugh, but fucking funny is
funny.
Like
afterwards, we realised, like, hold on a second here. It's a bit like years ago, and I'm talking years ago, so it's okay to talk about it. Unfortunately there was a man up in near where we live, and he
took his own life, and he left behind a family, and they were doing like a fundraiser for him, like a night. There was a band, but the band that they picked was Guns and Holster, and he unfortunately,
oh jeez,
he took his life with the gun, and it was just a terrible choice of band name.
I mean, we all like a bit of country music, but there's no need in it. You could have gotten anybody.
What made it worse, Tom, is they scribbled out the guns on the card.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, so it actually just made you actually look at it more.
Oh jeez, I think I would have tried to maybe modify the G to a B and make it buns and buns. Oh Jesus!
Buns and toasters.
No, I think we just formed a new band accidentally. Yeah. Going back, because most people will recognize you from Hardy Bucks, obviously, because it's such a, I would say, Irish phenomenon. It's fucking huge, isn't it?
Yeah. And since it went on Netflix, it's got it's growing, and it's still growing in America. Like we've gone off, and myself, Pete, and Mikey. And now Chris, we've gone off and done our own thing. We're doing the Hedgehogs podcast. We're doing the 3 Bucks Left live shows when they ever come back, and also the 3 Bucks Left page. But we will never forget where we came from, and we still know how massive the Hardy Bucks brand and trademark is. It's getting bigger in America. It's getting big in Australia, Canada, all the English speaking.
Yeah.
Countries, you know?
God, I would love to see it translated though, to be good, wouldn't it, into Japanese or something like
that? we put up this picture a couple of months ago of a Japanese-looking Mikey Salmon. But the thing is, we done a piss. We said going to be airing, like it was like just the spit down of Mikey Salmon. The only thing is, he knew he was Japanese. We said there's going to be a Japanese version of the Hardy Bucks, but people believed us. So people were texting in, I can't believe it, how did we get it? And it was like complete piss take. It was a complete piss take. But then we said, guess who this lad is playing? And yeah, you guessed it, the Viper. Like it was a complete piss take.
Oh my God.
People actually got so excited about it that they started like texting in. But there's a massive hunger. There's a massive hunger for the Hardy Bucks. That's for sure, yeah.
I love the notion, like, arigato, schlei, you know?
Yeah. It was so funny. But we'd love. There's so many obstacles in the way of it getting back together. And the thing is, if I had as much time as I have now, I've made my life, like when I was in my 20s up until early 30s. I was so busy. It was only like past the Hardy Bucks was just like a hobby for me.
Yeah.
But now, do you know what? When I seen the live gigs and when I got on the Vicar Street stage, that's when I fell in love with the whole thing again. It was just like it was when we were doing the YouTube stuff. I lost the love for it when RT sort of taken over. I mean, I had to go down that route. That's fair enough. But I lost the love for it because there was so much stuff that was recorded, and it was brilliant. And it was never shown, and I just like, I'd be telling people about, I'm in this scene, and it's the first scene of the first episode of the second season. And I remember there was this particular one, we spent all day, we went out and got dinner, then we went back, and it was nearly 18 hours of hanging around doing video work, and Kevin McCarran was there, and Kevin was brilliant that particular day. Probably why it took so long to shoot was, he'd add in something, or he'd do something different every time we were doing the scenes, and he'd catch everyone off guard, and the sound guys and the video guys and even the cast would be taken by surprise, and he'd start you off laughing again. Like I was meant to be keeping completely still, I was meant to be lying on a pool table, but every time he changed something up, I was meant to be like staying like dead, but every time he'd do something, I'd start vibrating with laughter, so it ruined the scene. But the thing is, we got some brilliant scenes out of that, and it was never shown, not even a second of it. And after that, I just realized, no, that was it. But I went in whenever it suited me. Then at that stage, I wasn't going to change and work around at that,
And that's the thing, because you don't, when you're filming something, because I had no grasp of what when I was doing Damo and Ivor years ago, I had no grasp because I was like, oh, this is grand.
Yeah.
And it's funny in the moment. Yes, it is funny. And there was times when they left us off the leash a bit. But for the most part, you're going, oh, grand, great.
Yeah.
But you compare that to even a millisecond standing in front of a live audience. And it's not even within an ass's roar of it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And you got your first taste of standing fucking Vicar Street.
On Vicar Street, yeah. We done. I hadn't been on stage since I was in school, and well, bar one very very drunken night in Castlebar. The boys were doing a live set in the Hogs Haven, or now it's called Garboat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they were maybe 4 years ago. It was St. Stephen's night. And I got absolutely twisted. And Coach Martin Maloney spotted me in the crowd and he got me up. And God knows what I was saying. That's the only time I was on stage since I was in school. And I went to see the boys. I used to go around with them and I'd go backstage and everything like that. And then I'd watch them. But I went up and I seen what they were doing up in Belfast. They'd done a trial run up in Belfast. And then I said, yeah, I want in. And then my first time up was walking on stage on Vicar Street. And since then I haven't looked back. And
how did you format it? Would say, did you do it in a short story for? Like, was it to play out an episode? We'll say
that yeah, exactly. It was just like a live episode, but then there was twists and turns thrown into it as well. It was a bit more animated, a bit more like Peter Wanstead was doing rolls around the stage. I think a few of us got jocked at different times, that wasn't scripted in. And that's the way it used to be. And that's what made it gold. That's what made the Mitzi Turbo gold. That's what made The Drink is a Curse gold on YouTube. All them YouTube things. It was all an idea. You go with it. And if you think there's something funny in between, you throw it in. And that's the way it was. And that's what made it funny. And that's what made our friendships probably bond a lot more than you would in a normal set.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you were saying then you kind of worked it around when you were free, back when you were filming and stuff. Like what were you doing? What was the job at the time? What had you busy?
Busy. I was construction companies. My father was the head kiddie of a construction company, and we were just flat out.
Of course.
Flat out, man. It was between 1998 and 2007.
Get it up yesterday, like.
Yeah. We were working, yeah, mental stuff. And then I had 3 kids as well on top of that.
Oh, say no more.
Yeah. And I had houses going left, right, and center. I was busy. And then on top of it all, my heart failed when I was 28 years of age. So I ended up in ICU for 9 days. That's why I missed out on the Hardy Bucks actual movie. I had a heart attack.
Holy sweet fuck.
Yeah.
What? Like what?
Yeah.
You had a heart attack at 28.
Yeah, it was like my heart just slowly started to just completely stop. It was down to like 12% cut out, or between 12 and 15% of capacity. It was from working, it was from drinking, it was from stress, trying to keep all these houses going. It was trying to, and then I was trying to have that social life as well. And I wanted to be part of it. I didn't want to lose my connection with the boys as well.
Yeah.
But it was just very short, and I just let it go, and probably very unhealthy diet as well, as you do when you're out. When you're drinking, you eat anything just to eat something in the morning.
Yeah.
Again, when you're working, especially in construction, you're getting something like breakfast roll or a jambon, which is lovely once in a while, but when it becomes like every day, everything goes out the window. So yeah, eventually it just came to a 4 when I was 28. Yeah.
Jesus Christ! So what was the what road did they set you on after the 9 days in ICU?
That was a wake up call. That was definitely a wake up call for me. That's when I started to get into the running.
Right.
When I started running first, I couldn't run a kilometer, and that's a fact. I couldn't run a kilometer. So what I done was, a kilometer was my goal, which sounds very, I'm sure for anyone that's listening that's a runner, a kilometer isn't a lot. But to me, it was like climbing Mount Everest. But eventually, I got to a kilometer, and then suddenly I was doing the kilometer every day, and I get a bit faster at it. Then I upped it to 3 kilometers, and then I was hitting 3 kilometers, and then I was getting faster and faster at that. Then it was 5 kilometers, and then it was 5 kilometers for an awful long time. 5 kilometers was my limit. Then I went up to 8 kilometers, and then I hit 10K. Now, 10K to me was a marathon as far as I was concerned. It took me ages to get that far. And the first real times 10K, I was so happy with myself. Like, it took me 3 years to get to that I got into it like enough that I could race in a 10K. And the day before I had the aneurysm at 31, that was my first timed 10K route. And I was the fittest I'd been. And at this point in my life, I have 4 kids, two different women who I get on well with, very much so. We just didn't. The 2 relationships just didn't work out, and I was with a different girl at the time. So you can imagine what my head was.
Mother.
Yeah.
Jesus, I need a drink just listening to that. That's
yeah. So I had changed my diet. I had changed my diet and definitely my drinking habits. I wasn't drinking every weekend. It was once every 2 weeks maybe, or every month, once a month. But the problem with me with drink is once I start one, it could be a 2-day thing, you know, and I think it'd be easier if it was maybe two pints a night, or maybe a glass of wine a night, but I have to go a bit like French toast, a bit like all the boys.
It's actually in our DNA. We don't have a choice. Like Celtic DNA, it's foot to the fucking floor, or put me in a barrel, one or the other. It's
exactly. Yeah. So, and that was it, and that's when I had the aneurysm. But that was when that was nothing I could do. I was doing everything right, bar a bit of stress, obviously trying to keep everyone happy, trying to keep the kids happy, trying to keep their mothers happy, and trying to keep my own relationship happy at the time. My family, I was living a bit further away. We moved into this beautiful house in Claremorris. Work was going good, although I had to travel a bit further away than usual. And and then that night I had the aneurysm after doing the 10K.
And was the aneurysm, what was that brought on from, or was that always going to happen anyway?
Well, would you believe that when I was 21, I fractured my skull. I fell and fractured my skull on a night out. So it might have had a loose valve since then. The blood pressure at 28 was sky high. It might have had something to do with that. But it could have been one of these things that just happened off the cuff. Just 2 o'clock in the morning, I got up, walked down the stairs. I didn't make it to the bottom of the stairs. My eyes closed, my hands dropped, and I fell for the last 2 or 3 steps. And the only reason that was because there was someone happened to be up watching the television and seeing what had happened, or I would never have known what happened.
Jesus! And what was
only for they were there, only for one of my mates was still in the house, and he just happened to be watching, because I had a big screen television, and he was watching a movie. I would have been found at the bottom of the stairs in the morning.
Thank Christ it wasn't Babe Station he was on, or you would have been there for a while.
Might have gone unnoticed.
It's funny because, well, it's not funny, but that could have been sitting there, because a fella I know, he's from Kerry, and you know them old school tough bastards, when you'll see even an old fella in his 70s, you go, I wouldn't cross him,
of course.
He's that walk and that stance, big thick neck in him.
Or even the look in the eyes.
Oh, he has that 1,000-yard stare, he does, But he was a bulldozer driver for a crowd I worked for. But he used to be a pro wrestler back in the Big Daddy days, back in years ago, back with Giant Haystacks and all the rest of it in the UK. And I said, did you suffer any major injuries? He says, I had the odd rib and stuff like that, but the worst injury, the whole lot, he says, because you'd have it. At least you take a slap. He said, now with Haystacks that hit you, he says, I probably got a lot of concussions, all right, because his hand was getting hit with a car door. But he said the worst one of the whole lot was a youngish lad was after coming on the scene, and he was to give Jerry a pile driver. And you always protect the head. You keep him up, when you give him the pile drive, you keep the head up off the ground so you can tuck it. He's the fucking Egypt dropped me down on the concrete. And it wasn't.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. And of course went off in the beer with Haystacks and a couple of more guys afterwards, said no more about it. But it wasn't until 18 or 19 years later, bang, and they found there was an old bleed. They found scarring in around the brain, where he was, and they said that's where the aneurysms after coming from. And he said that's the exact spot. So he had to be that monitored every year. Then he'd have to go back into his 70s. He'd have to go back. But
that'll I never really looked into I never really looked into was that the reason for it. And I'll tell you why, because it was a very, very good friend of mine that I've grown up with all my life that happened, that not caused the fractured skull. And I never wanted him to think he was the cause of the aneurysm years later, because I know he was very put out. It was just messing. What happened with the fractured skull was we were in Dublin. We were waiting for the weather to clear so we'd get the boat over to Manchester. We were driving over. A mate of ours driving us over. But of course, we went drinking in Dublin City until and we were going down for the car. We were only young fellas, like I was 20, 21, and we were running down for the car. We used to have this thing where, front seat, whoever gets to the front door first gets the front seat. It's just like nonsense, especially with a few drinks in you. So I ran down anyway, and I got there first, but with my hands in my pockets. And he came around behind me, and he went sort of to push me, just completely not meaning anything, but I had my hands in my pockets, and I fell forward and hit my head on a curb. So that was the cause of the fractured skull. But
was nondescript thing ever. Like you couldn't see it coming in a mile away. Like
yeah. But actually, we still went to Manchester.
Did
drunk.
You?
Yeah, but the thing is, I was drunk for the 3 days, but it wasn't the drink. I had concussion. Everyone thought I was drunk.
You get some mileage out of them few pints.
Huh? Yeah. Like they were giving me, they didn't want to give me anything strong, so they started giving me Smithwick's instead.
Or medicinal fucking Smithwick's. Yeah. Isn't it funny, like how that doesn't happen more? I don't know. Like with lads, the amount of times you'd bust yourself.
Yeah.
Still to this day, like I remember a mate years ago, we were down in Kinsale, and he wanted me to tackle him. He'd never been tackled. He said, "You play rugby, go on, you tackle." I said, "What? This is fucking stupid. We're waiting on a taxi." I said, "Come on." So he ran at me. He said, "Come on, tackle me." So he must have ran me 3 or 4 times. You're some fucking gowl. Let's go away on that. Next thing, he ran at me again. So I did. I speared him. Like he broke both his fucking elbows.
Ah, no way.
And he was to go to Australia the following day.
I bet he regretted it then.
He did, but in fairness, though, like I was, galled for the guy, but he said, no. He says, we're on a bender all day, and I was asking you to be fucking smash me with a tackle.
Yeah. You have to, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You have to take these things.
Jeez. And where did Cowboy Lavin come from then? Like it's such a sideways name, like
completely Martin Maloney. He came up with most of the names. He had that. What happened was Martin came over from Liverpool when he was 12 or 13, and
right,
because he probably had the Liverpool accent, he probably didn't. It took him a while for everyone else to warm to him, but I warmed to him straight away. I knew that there was something gifted and talented about this dude. He was just, his imagination was just out there, even at 12 or 13.
Right.
And we became close, and we spent ages like just scheming and drawing up plans and writing up stuff. And years passed, and then Martin went to Sweden and he went to Interrail, and I sort of went off working, and he'd always been drawing up these like sketches and what like that, and he was always like imagining this, and he was always dreaming big. But he went off anyway, and I went off and done my own business. And I think it was Christmas Eve, I went to midnight mass up in Galway, and I was walking down Shop Street, and there was a buskers out, and there was a crowd out. There was a bit of singing going on. And who was in the middle of it but Martin Maloney? And he goes to me. He said, he said, all that stuff that I used to write years ago. He said, well, I have a sketch wrote now, and I want you to be in it. Your name made as everything. It's Cowboy Lavin. And I was like, well, firstly, I was delighted to see him.
Yeah.
And secondly, I was like, right, okay, yeah. right, Cowboy, RTE, or he was actually thinking Hollywood. He was going bypass. He was all the way to Hollywood.
Fucking good
He
man.
wasn't RTE. Yeah, Martin dreams big. And I said, great. I said, get back to me. And at the time, I don't even think there was Facebook. I think it was Bebo. And he got his email address. And surely enough, a few weeks later, I got an email off him. And it was sort of the idea for the Mitzi Turbo Cup. And that another few weeks had passed. And then I met him again in Galway. He said, next Friday, he said, be at the community centre in Swinford. He said, we're going to be shooting. And I said, sounds so. He said, what? I said, what will I wear? He said, oh, wear anything you have. The more ridiculous, the better. So I had a bandana and I had a pair of leather trousers. And I bought them leather trousers in America myself. I do not know why. But
I was going to ask you about the leather trousers and such.
This was nothing to do. This was nothing to do with the Hardy Bucks. I thought I was the reincarnation of Jim Morrison when I was in the late teens. So
Jim Morrison.
Yeah. So I went on a split. I paid $400 for a pair of these leather trousers that were
the real deal. So
the real deal. Yeah, but I was swimming in them. The thing is, they were way too big. But I didn't know anything about it. I was told to get big leather. If you're buying leather, buy bigger because they shrink. But I went and I bought like these things that you nearly could double wrap. But and then the bandana came with it as well. And then in one of them, I had someone give me a waistcoat with the Confederate flag at the back, and that went down a storm for years until maybe last year.
Yeah, it's kind of gone by the wayside now. That one, I might make a comeback. You never know. Like.
You never know. But so yeah, and then that's where Cowboy Lavin came from itself. And I went in that morning not knowing what to expect. The boys had shot actually a couple of pilot episodes, but I hadn't heard anything about it. But I think they presumed that I did.
Right.
So I just went into the Mitzi Turbo Cup, and the rest is history. It was actually the Jeep and the trailer that the boys are going around the community centre in is actually my Jeep and my trailer. But
bring your leather pants and your Jeep and trailer, like we just.
Yeah. But then there was other episodes where the one we got into RT then, and it was all great excitement around the town, as you can imagine. But I don't think to this day I don't think actually North Mayo and Swinford realise what the Hardy Bucks done for this area.
Oh, I'd well believe. Yeah, I could. Yeah. Well, you never do. You'll never be a prophet in your own town, like. But
no, never be able. Like Pete said that. Owen Colligan said that. Never be a prophet in your own. But in one way, it's a great thing. Like if we went to Dublin or Galway, you'd get shouted on the street 20 times more than you'd ever get shouted in your own town.
Oh yeah. Like I could hardly sell 50 tickets in the town up the road here in Tip, but if I go to Belfast, I'd sell out no problem.
Like. It's amazing. Absolutely, it's amazing. Like even Owen Colligan sells out Dolan's in Limerick, sells out Grand Social, Workman's, or Sugar Club, sells them out 2 or 3 nights in a row. Barely sell 50 or 60 tickets in Castlebar on one night thing. It's just amazing.
There you go.
Amazing.
Because I remember him saying it to me years ago. It was actually our honeymoon, because we honeymooned in Mayo. Well, I was just I'd gigged abroad a fair bit that year, and I'd been abroad 7 or 8 times that fucking year, and I just couldn't hack another airport. After the last thing I want to do after the happiest day ever is to queue up with English people in flip flops or fucking big, Nora from Ballymun, it's just fucking. And the missus loved. She was a great idea. Let's go out west. Off we went for a week of fucking wildness and crazy fucking elven folk. There's something magical about when you go right wild. There's magic in those people.
Yeah.
I remember we were in Foxford. We stopped in Foxford for no reason at all. Just why not? Because we had no place to be. I remember this little woman, she had a beard, and she sold me an anvil. And I remember thinking, and we spent an hour inside this old brick and brack shop, and I didn't want an anvil. Just It was fantastic. Like, you know, it was just great.
Foxford is a great little introduction to Mayo. It's not a huge town, but it has the Moy running past it and has some great characters.
We got caught. Well, I say we got caught. We didn't intentionally mean to go to this small little. It was a maritime museum in Foxford, and we went in and thinking to be people in there. There wasn't. It was only us two and your man, and he gave us the rundown on the whole thing that was based around this man from Foxford anyway, and all the rest.
Admiral Brown.
That's it. And you're kind of thinking, we'll be watching because there's a projector, like, and they tell you the story of him. And you think you're going to be with other people. But it wasn't. Again, it was just us and him. And it was just
everyone else was in the Foxford, the big one, the Foxford Bulletmans.
Yeah. No, we'd no interest in that. We wanted to see the kind of kitschy kind of stuff, like.
And would you believe that man is revered in Argentina? Like, the streets, there's towns, there's cities named after him in Argentina.
And just like we were saying, you'll never be a prophet, like, in your own town.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Argentinians naming their children after him, and same as just like Tom Crean down in Kerry. There's a mountain range.
That's right.
In fucking Georgia, named after him. Like, next to nothing in Ireland about him. You know,
it's crazy, but there's something nice about it. But yes, something like what you have to do around here to get recognized.
I don't know. You might get a petrol station if you're in Bama or something like that.
I always said, unless you're Daniel O'Donnell and Tommy Tiernan, no one's going to go to you in Mayo.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, but your tip is the same way. Like, you know what I mean? Unless, the two Johnnies probably would get people to go to them all right as well. Like, but yeah, they because, like I said, there was something kind of magical, and I was going to ask you that, but it was funny. I remember Owen had said it to me. "Jesus, it'd be great if you're around sometime. It'd be great to throw you into." I said, "Yeah, I'd like love to." And the week he'd mentioned to me, I went, "Oh fuck it, I'm getting married that week," and he went, "Oh," and we agreed that wouldn't be a good idea. Like, you know.
Or you wouldn't be getting married.
But to be fair to herself, she's as cool as a breeze. Like, and we were driving through Swinford, and it was being filmed. I said, "You're not going to," she goes, and I said it to her, she goes, "We pull down to the fucking Bison." I said, "Well, no, I think they have themselves set up now. They don't need me wandering in." But she was that easy going about it. It's just
brilliant.
Well, she's the right one to marry in her because she was that cool as a breeze. She goes, "There might be a bit of fucking crack. Should we go down and see what the crack is like?" But we didn't. Well, we stayed the first couple of days in this mad whore. He had a hotel. It was, where was it again? But it was a castle. But he built a ship inside the fucking, for the bar. His father had raised a Spanish galleon years ago, and he took it, and it was in bits, but he brought it, preserved it, and built it back indoors to make a bar.
What town was that?
Oh, Jesus Christ, what town was it?
Were you near the sea?
Yes, yeah.
Was it Belmullet, no?
No, it wasn't. Was it Belmullet? Oh, Jesus Christ. And it wasn't Mark Castle because we've stayed there before, but that's Sligo. Yeah, no, we stayed there another time.
Lovely hotel too.
Jesus, I can't remember the name of it. Somebody now is listening to this going...
Mount Falcon, Beleek?
No, we stayed in Mount Falcon.
Yeah.
Nice Beleek, that's it.
Beleek. That's Ballina, yeah.
Ballina, yes. Yeah, we stayed in Mount Falcon. Not as much crack, but it was another hotel. We stayed two different hotels that week just to have
Mount Falcon now is a bit...
bit schwanky now.
You know how you get really fancy hotels, but yet there's still a bit of crack.
Yeah.
The Mount Falcon would be a really fancy hotel, but there'd be no crack.
No. We were the only thing we went shooting that day as well. But we went off with falcons, actual falcons. Do you know, you can walk them and stuff like that. But still, we were kind of going.
You shot the falcons?
Do you know what? I was going to do the crossover of the two. Can I just bring the gun and shoot falcons? Like, what your man was saying.
I actually know that there's two falconers down in Mount Falcon, and I know one of them well, and I know the other one to see. So I would have loved it. I wouldn't have loved it, but it would have been some crack if you shot one of the
and I'd be known to fucking pull a gun or two. But yeah, no. But there was a wildness. I remember the day we walked, like the day we got wedding done, fucking bolted the following day, gone across the country into Mayo, and it had been a whirlwind of a week. And herself was, "I'm fucking knackered. I'm going up for a lie down." I says, "Mighty, I'm going looking for the bar." And in I went and sat down. I just sat down on this kind of sofa that was a bit fucked, but it was nice looking, but it was a bit fucked when I sat on it.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the bar. But I looked around and like this one on the green screen, but it was a fucking ship. I went, is this a fucking ship? And out of nowhere, this barman just walked over. He goes, and he just landed a pint in front of me. No hello, no nothing. Just landed a pint down in front of me. He says, yeah, it is a ship. I went, it is a ship. I like that. We were 2 hours chatting, and he was just, there was a magic about him. Like there was, that.
I must, when pubs open, I must go to that.
Oh, it is well worth it.
Check it out.
There's
some brilliant spots. And then the further west you go with likes of Belmullet, Binghamstown, up by Pullatomas, all them, Glenhest, where Owen is living now, down in Keysala, all along that wild country. A lot of like country pubs that go in there. There's a lot of old money, old cash. The houses mightn't be too great, but you can be guaranteed that the fridges are full of money, or the fridges are full of money.
I hope they are. Yeah.
Fridges are full of food. The drink cabinets are full, and just old Ireland, and cash is king around that area, and they just themselves, and they're brilliant. They're just they're salt of the earth.
Yeah, and that was the whole reason for moving back down home to Tip, like, and it's very much like that same way, like, is that, and nothing moves at the pace you think it moves at. What it used to, when I lived in the city in Dublin, like, you just, everything moves faster, and products are given to you quicker, and everybody's has less time, like. Whereas I didn't realize the amount, you go up the road there, like, and the amount of lads that are laying there on bonnets of cars chatting with other fellas, like. It's just where would you be going?
Things get done in their own way and in their own time.
Yeah. Like with the plumber, I've said this on the podcast. It cracked me up. Or not the plumber, but we're getting oil. Like first couple of days here, and I just a bit of ordering some oil, and rang your man. Sticker on the side of the tank. I said, sure, I'll ring that fella. I think I know where they are anyway. And your man, I was ringing with card in hand, ready to give your man, all details, as it was. I'd always been very cut dry. You could actually email for it in the last place I was. You could email, send through your order, like, and rang this fella, no website, no nothing, like, And your man didn't answer the phone, like, say, hello, Kelly Oil, or he just answered and he went, well, like he knew me. Like,
could be anyone.
I says, well, he says, what are you after? I said, drop of oil if it's going. He says, not about it. What should I put you down for? Again, we still hadn't even established who I was or where I was. And all that kind of came. And I said, can I give you my card details? Sure, you can if you want, like, or whatever, like, pay it another day. Pay it another day if you want. And I thought, oh, fucking hell. So I paid your man or whatever. And I figured I'll be a fucking week now waiting for this oil. I not joke with you. I don't know where your man was on the road with the truck, but I went out and put on the kettle, drank, and I was halfway down the cup of tea, thinking about what I had to do for the rest of the day. And a fella knocks at the back window. Well, I was fucking he goes, dial is in the tank there. Good luck.
Brilliant.
I'm gone. I didn't even hear him come in. Like, just
like a ninja oil deliverer.
Just fucking operating on a completely different, and there'd be no hurry in these lads if the time they will take their time, like, and that's just how it is. Come down with your big city attitude, like you're going to move these people, like you're not. No, it don't work like that.
And but there's such a warmth as well. There's so much heart in these people. Like when we were doing, myself and Pete French Toast ran the Mayo Coastline in September.
Yeah.
And the more rural we were getting, the nicer people. Like, we were strangers as far as we were concerned to these. It was people in the back arses of nowhere. Now, if anyone hasn't been to the very west of Mayo, it is wild. It is barren. It is windy inside. That's how. That is a fact. But these people were coming out of their houses, like elderly people in their 70s, 80s, wanting us to stop, and if we needed a coffee or use the toilet, or giving us 20 euros or 5 euros or 10 euros or 50 euros.
Stop.
Yeah. And we didn't even know, like, these people wouldn't have been on Instagram or social, Facebook or whatever platforms we have. Might have got a shout out in the local radios, but that was about it. But these were out. There was school kids when we were running during the day. I remember there was an Eris National School, and that's the only time I got emotional on that run. They were out waiting for us, and they cheered us on up the hill. I remember, Pete, we were at the bottom of this massive hill. It's awful hill. We were at the bottom of this hill, and I could see what was going on sort of 3/4 of the way up the hill, and it was a long hill, but I could see the kids out to the front, like everyone was at the front of the school. Yeah. And I knew it had to be for us because there was flags and there was bunch, and I could see someone with a camera sort of in the middle of the road. And Pete wanted to walk the hill, and I said, "Geez, Pete, we can't walk the hill because if you look,
you can't walk this bit.
It'll look terrible if we walk. If it takes us half the day to get up the hill, and a bunch of kids are waiting for us, and it's on camera." So he was like, "Ara, fuck them." But when he got to them, it was just emotional. Like, it was just brilliant. I mean, the smiles on their faces, their eyes were bulging out of their heads, and it just made that rest of the day so much easier.
That was what distance did you run in the end?
We ran about 320 odd K in 5 days. So maybe 60 Ks one day, 70 K. The longest day was Ackle to Balmunna, so that was the third day. It was the longest we'd done, but I loved it.
Please tell me you didn't suffer anything else as a result of that, did you?
No. I got myself into that position now. That's like, these things doesn't take me long to recover from these things.
Because I remember seeing one picture of you. I was going, fair play to you for running, because I'm kind of stocky and long distance running doesn't suit me. I'll run up a hill. Up a mountainy, goaty kind of hill, because I've done a couple of these quest challenges, from
yes,
and to be only a bit of running, but they're mostly hills and bogs, and for some reason wouldn't take a tack out of me. But if I'm running on a flat road in a straight line, I'd be blown out after a kilometre. But
I love it now.
But the goatee running I enjoy, like running up fucking all things. But I remember
Shane Finn country.
Yeah. But I was looking at you were stretching, and you had a fucking leg under you, like a snooker table, man. It's like, Jesus, get that fella full forward for Mayo. Do you mind?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? If I was as fit as I was, I would have loved to play football, but I was never fit enough for football until I started getting into run. But I would love to have my time back again. That's the one thing that I would change. I would stick with the GA. Just that if you give me the ball, brilliant. I'd put it over the bar. But ask me to run first, wasting your time.
Yeah. Because that was the one thing I was going. He must have played rugby or something to have a set of, so genetically you just have monstrous legs.
Yeah. Well, running as well. Running will do that. And you know what? I climbed the Reek an awful lot.
I climb
it about once a week if I can. I live right at the bottom of it now.
Do you?
Yeah. I live in Merse, like literally between my front door and the statue, which is good from the car park. It's a good 500 meters already up the hill. Is just short of a kilometer. So that'll tell you. Like, I walk up to it. I don't bother even driving to the car park. I just walk up the hill.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've the Galties at our doorstep here, and I just started making efforts because I figured better start getting in shape or whatever. I'm not posting any pictures yet as to where I actually got on because other people I see, children are able to go further than me, but I'll get there. My parents in their 60s.
It's no way to carry is doing things like that. It's absolutely no way to carry.
Yeah, no, you're right. So tell me, when did the Splinter cell form then? Between where was this brainchild, or were you yearning since your taste of stage? Like, were you going?
Yes, that was it. That was when we made a decision.
Was it?
That was 2019 April. Actually, it's actually coming up. The 2 years is coming up. That was 2019. So it's only 2 years really. So the Splinter group has came about. We were up on Vicar Street stage, and I just fell in love with it. And I knew that Owen was going off doing his thing. Martin was going back to Sweden. So they were like the two like big characters, and they were going separate ways.
Okay.
So me, Pete, and Mikey just were talking away, and we were like, I'd love to keep this going. whether it be live or doing sketches, doing videos. He's more into the recording stuff and do it that way, whereas I'm more for the live stuff. I just live and breathe it. I just can't. Like we done it for the first time. I've done a live gig on the Zoom for the Bravey football team. A lot of the Mayo players beyond that last Friday night, and even that was a bit of a buzz, but it's still not the same. As
no, it scratches the itch, but it ain't right. Like,
no, it's not. It's not the full hit.
And had you? What was the plan at the time initially when you decided, fucking, let's get this rolling? What had you gotten through? We'll say, because I mean, you probably had 8-9 months before everything went to shite.
That was maybe a bit longer. Actually, you're right. We didn't have an awful lot.
No,
we started doing the live gigs, and then I threw in a run from Dublin to Mayo. That was our first ultra distance run.
Right. Yeah.
I ran. That was from Beaumont. It was Beaumont that saved me from an aneurysm, and I remember on my way out of Beaumont, I said to them, "I'm going to run from Dublin to Mayo to pay back or raise money for this hospital." They were phenomenal, and that was in 2016. It was actually Easter 2016, because the reason it was so easy to remember is the 100-year commemorations for 1916 Rising.
Right. Yeah.
So, and a couple of years had passed at that stage, and I still hadn't done the run. And then Vicar Street happened, and I was like, I've had such a great life. It's if I don't repay the people that give me them extra 3 years and to get me to this stage in Vicar Street, I'll never do it. So we threw in the run from Dublin to Mayo on top of that. And that sort of gave us a bit of a platform as well. Our platform sort of grew there. But the ultimate goal then for the 3 bucks left was A, to start making sketches again, B, and probably the biggest reason was to go back doing live gigs and have a platform to promote these live gigs and get people in. And that's, so far it's going from strength to strength.
Yeah, because I remember you always know when things are going good for lads. When I get sent it from lads who are fucking really far away, do you know? Yeah. A mate of mine, he's in Korea, right. And he sent me a video of you in the car, and it was one of your monologues. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think it was it was a one about some fucker in the Tesco's car park. You were to meet some fella or something. Do you know? It was just.
Yes. That one took me, but like I thought of that one and I put it aside. I stuck it up, and actually I had wrote sort of that one. And next thing I was going to Casper one day. Mark Maloney texted me. He said your video is doing very well, and at that stage I'd thrown up 3 or 4, and that's the one about running I want to run your fingers through my hair.
Yeah.
He said, I said, which one, Martin? And next thing he sent it to me, and he said that was in the same group as Oasis. Like Oasis had a WhatsApp group, and they'd been sending that around.
Stop.
Yeah. So he said, whatever you're doing, he said, keep doing it. And that one then, and then, like at that stage, I didn't realize how things went around. So I was only learning about the analytics and everything like that. So.
Isn't that funny? Like, because just like that, you know, but also, I mean, it didn't have to ground you licked it. You had to put the work into creating that, that personality in your head too. Because and it's funny that people are just sometimes happy to throw that away. But like in all the days and the amount of shite that's out there, if people have good stuff, put it fucking out. Because I remember driving with McSavage a couple of years, probably 3 years ago. We're driving back up from Limerick. I said, "And where are all your sketches?" I said, "What do you mean, where are they?" I said, "All the Savage Eye sketches, where are they?" As well, RT kind of have them. I said, "You're not I said, "But you can get them, right?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I have creative rights of them. I can put them out." Yeah. Whatever. I said, "Well, why don't you have Instagram?" He went, fuck all that. I said, "You have to." I said, "Because it's all sitting there right now."
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, about 3 months later, he finally decided. Now he's, amazing on Instagram. But again,
that's
like,
right.
Do you know?
Yeah. Owen knows him as well, and he was. I think he was telling him to get. Owen was always. It was Owen that told us to get Instagram. He said, "You're made for Instagram."
Oh, absolutely. That's what I was getting around to, is that you're made for it. Like,
yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. And there's even humor in the way in the way you speak too, like because S's become SHs, and it just makes
But so sometimes they're natural, sometimes
absolutely. But you may as well lean into it, like
lean into it. That's a brilliant description.
I found myself when I'm gigging in London, and I don't know, maybe more polite people than me would soften their accent, but for some reason when I hear people straining, I turn into Pat Short, basically. I just ham it up to the death. I turn into one of the Unbelievables, like, because I don't know what it is in me. Then I start laughing inside my own head, like.
If it's fun. If you can watch yourself, a couple of times and it's still funny after 2 or 3 times, you know that's funny.
Absolutely. And tell me this: where did the name Dead Hedgehogs come from? Because I'm looking at a dead hedgehog on the wall behind you.
I tell you what. We when we set up $3 Left, most people loved the name and the fact that we kept the Bucks in it. There was a couple of people that didn't like it and that said that we should have went away from the Hardy Bucks altogether if we wanted to set up a Splinter group. So we always wanted to change it, but suddenly $3 Left became so like popular. So quickly, if we changed it, it was like people won't know what the fuck it is. So we got it to a certain level where we couldn't really change it. But we always wanted to have a different platform. And when we went for the podcast route, which is only really since November time, we wanted a completely different name from Bucks or anything like that. So we tried for ages. Actually, do you know what? I'll tell that again. We were going to change $3 Left, but it took us so long. It took us so long to come up with a name that by the time we decided on the name, like we had over 10,000 followers on Instagram. And we had,
as Eddie, the former Ireland rugby coach would say, you can't put the shit back in the horse.
Exactly. So we'd already made up this thing. So when we went for when we did settle on a name, and the reason we picked that name was myself and Pete were always wondering what would we change the name to. When we were driving along, we couldn't come up with a name that just suited without anything to do with the Hardy Bucks. We were driving actually Mount Falcon. We were outside Mount Falcon. We were driving along, and I seen on the road a dead hedgehog, and I just go, Dead Hedgehogs. And Pete said, brilliant.
And I shot that hedgehog. Isn't that an amazing story?
Yeah.
Oh, but it is, because I was going, maybe there's something mystical about it or whatever. I love when I find out that it's a story as simple as that. We saw a dead hedgehog, Tom, and we liked how that sound.
As simple as that. Now, I actually looked into dead hedgehogs, and apparently it's used in curses. But anyway,
and that's why I thought it was mystical then, like that mystical woman that sold me the anvil in Foxford. I don't know if she really existed. If I went back there, would anybody have ever heard about her? Was it just
that's Foxford for you? That's Mayo for you.
That's it. You walk through to the fairy folk, and before you know it, then you're in another time, and you bought stuff for a workshop that you don't fucking need. And had you ever? I won't keep you for too much. I know I'm just keeping an eye on the time because I know you're a busy man now with all this pumping out podcasts at a rate of knots.
I know. I'm keeping it going anyway.
So have you any inkling of would you go out on your own in any ways? Like,
I think like when a couple of the boys were, say, busy doing other things, and Pete would be always, especially in the beginning, he said, you've sort of grown into this where I've done all these gigs with I'm not as fallen in love with the gigs as much as you are. He said, why don't you go out on your own? And I thought about it, but for me, it's a part of the whole thing is having my friends with me backstage, having that closeness, I think if it was just me doing this, even if I had 100,000 followers, I don't think I'd love it as much as when Pete's involved or Mikey Salmon's involved or Chris Galvin is involved in the podcast. I love the closeness of having the group of us all together. And I went off and done gigs on my own, maybe with other people, and it's just not the same.
Yeah. It doesn't get any less lonely. I can tell you that much when you're when you're in a lineup and it's just you on the bill.
Yeah. But as you know yourself, there's such a buzz about being on stage. Like if you're ever at a three bucks left stage, what the format usually is, we always try and if there's local comedian or even a couple of local comedians, we'll give them a bit of a platform, let them up first, or even a singers or something like that, some sort of entertainment.
Yeah,
we might throw it at the beginning. We'll throw maybe in the middle, just to give other people a bit of a platform. But usually the running order is Mikey first, me second, Pete third, and then maybe at the end we'll come on together. So we are out there on stage. We're low, but the buzz is just unbelievable. But the only thing is, there's a bit of an anticlimax at the end of it. You know, like when you're finished off.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
You come down after about a half an hour. People think you should be out, you know, mad. Oh, we're going to hit the town now. We're going to
snorting cocaine off hookers. Yeah.
But they don't realize that you've had your night already up on that stage. That buzz is better than any mad drinking you could go on. It's better than any drug you could take. It's just amazing, and that's how I feel about it. Anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, people. I've explained this to people in the past. That, yeah, normally you're just the highlight of the night. Beyond that is maybe, you know, crisps in the car on the way back.
Yeah. Or getting a couple of messages at the end of the night saying that you were brilliant or best show ever. Or, you know, I love to see. I love when people are laughing and happy and just everyone's just on the same boat.
There's absolutely nothing like it, and hopefully we won't be too far. We won't be too far from it coming back.
Yeah.
This has been an absolute pleasure. What a lovely way to spend. Just warm, lovely way. I wish we were actually in a pub just leaning up against an audio.
Oh, it'll happen, definitely.
It'll absolutely happen. So just could you give the details? I'll put links in the show notes anyway as to where best, I suppose, because the Dead Hedgehogs is absolutely flying it. I guess if they're following the $3 left.
Yeah, $3 left on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. For some reason, we just got into TikTok. Well, it's the same thing. The same video will work on Instagram as it will on TikTok. So we went down to TikTok. We're Dead Hedgehogs on YouTube. That is the one I want to push the most. We want to get a following on YouTube, not only for the podcast, but we do plan when all these restrictions are finished with to start doing sketches again. Maybe a bit like the Hardy Bucks 8-9 minute sketches on top of the podcast as well. And YouTube is always the best platform for them sort of sketches. So Dead Hedgehogs on YouTube, and it's also on Instagram as well. So basically, we're all over the internet. So can't miss us.
Fantastic stuff. And next time I have an inkling to be heading to Mayo, I'll bring the gun, and we might end up filming something for the crack.
Yeah, we'll shoot the falcon and send them on falcon.
Stephen Cowboy Lavin, thank you very, very much.
No problem. It was an absolute pleasure. Brilliant.
Cheers, bro.